Hey guys, New York Millennial, and we're back finally with another article that we're doing, and it's on Trump this time,
Yes.
and it's called "I Am a Socially Liberal Millennial Immigrant, and Here's Why Donald Trump Has My Vote" by Eugene Spector. Um,
Mhm. But can I just mention though first? So this article is kind of getting old now.
yeah,
It's in
it's
September, right? Like of last
September
year.
1st of last year. Yeah,
So I mean, this is before a lot of things could have changed by now, but this it still is somewhat relevant to
yeah,
just break apart and talk about now.
yeah. Just keep in mind that it was written so long ago. He was still the front runner, but there was not even a primary still yet, and it was the whole year before the election. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind. But still, we think it is it's very interesting. So we're just going to get into it. So
Yeah.
first paragraph, it's interesting is it says the first paragraph kind of says, oh well, the media has kind of written off Trump's chances, which is interesting because the media is the reason why he has all this attention. The one, all the
Yeah.
inflammatory comments. That's the interesting thing. What I find almost ironic or oxymoronic about the whole media situation and Trump is if that kind of whole thing is true. Oh well, the media is saying, oh well, Trump can't win. He's being so mean and vulgar and stuff like that. At the same time, the media is I wouldn't say the sole reason, but like the main reason why he's gotten so much support in the first place. Even though that's the place where it's saying, oh, he can't win, he can't possibly win. Even though that's where he's getting all his support, which is it's interesting.
Yeah, it really is. And also, even if it's like something negative they're talking about on the news, just getting any news coverage at all can benefit you. I mean, if they're just saying Trump a lot and stuff, and like the media has this entire time, and we've seen it happen now, like he's been on like talking about all these different things. Like a lot of times they'll be like, "So you said this crazy thing, will you explain?" So I mean, that gives them free coverage. So I mean,
Exactly.
it's just it's actually pretty smart by him, but still, it's not
Mhm.
I mean, it makes he's using the media to like promote his message, whether they want him to or not.
Mhm. Yeah, and going through this, it says in the American political system, money buys influence and power. True. Well, that's true. That's very true. It's a true statement. Good job. You're a millennial and you realize that. So basically, what this guy's kind of saying is he wants someone who's anti-establishment,
Yeah,
which makes sense. We'll say there was Bernie, but
yeah. I
okay.
mean, Bernie definitely is that too, but I mean, I guess Trump kind of
Yeah,
is that. I mean, the
yeah,
establishment kind of hates him too. So
yeah. Moving on. This is very interesting. So Trump is the only candidate on both sides who won't be vying for political funds in exchange for political favors. Uh, I don't think that's true. And I wrote question mark what? That's flat out wrong. Hello, what about Bernie? Because it's flat out wrong. Like I don't know what you there's
I,
literally an anti-establishment candidate on the other
yeah, I
side.
mean, even like you could say this was before Bernie got really popular, but even after like Bernie got really popular, it's not like he people were really talking about that much. They never really made the media never made a point of saying like, so yeah, Bernie's not being bought, he can't be bought and stuff like that. So I feel like they just ignore Bernie. Even like it started at the beginning of the campaign, everyone ignored Bernie, and even by the end,
Yeah.
people still were acting like he didn't exist.
Yeah.
It's
Which
crazy
is
to me.
whatever. But that the statement's completely false, but
Yeah,
moving on.
completely.
He says let's see. Basically, he's talking about like, one of Trump's quotes, and he said, "When they call, I give, and you know what? When I need something from them, 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them. They are there for me, and that's a broken system." And so basically, Trump's kind of saying this, and he uses the word "I" a lot and repeats it,
Hmm.
and basically, I would argue this his kind of tone is almost like a demigod, and this whole idea of you've heard this a lot, authoritarian strongman. That's what Trump kind of represents to the populist right, which yeah, I would argue that's like this is an example of that. You know what? He uses a lot of R. He kind of says bases it on himself as an individual and not we as a populist. Because you think a populist movement, you should say the word we a lot. Like we're all in this
Yeah,
together. But this is kind of like, oh, you know what? I can, I, I see this. I can fix this. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I will lead you. Sure, okay, but still kind of that idea. Um,
Hmm.
And then again, continuing on that next paragraph, he says that he will provide the necessary leadership for our country to succeed. Again, the same strongman argument, but also you need a Congress, and like if the GOP hates him,
Yeah,
I don't know where he's going to get his support from because it's certainly not going to be from Democrats.
exactly.
And
Because like he's not going to really have any support, I feel, like at all, because even his own party hates him, like you just said. And
Yeah.
something that kind of bothers me is he says like no one has accomplished more or led more industries than Trump and stuff like. It's like no one's accomplished more. I mean, it kind of depends what you're talking about accomplished. Like
Yeah.
accomplished political wise, like Trump's never been a politician. He's never been. He doesn't know the system very well. He doesn't like realize that if everyone hates him, you're not going to get anything done. And especially with even the American people don't like him. Like it has a high unfavorability rating. So like
Yeah.
that means that everyone's against you. Like the entire country is against you and the political system. So even
Hmm.
if you accomplished a lot in business, being a good
Hmm.
businessman doesn't necessarily make you a
Hmm.
good president.
And also, what I find interesting is CEOs are basically like the dictator of their country. They can literally be like, okay, you do this, you do that. They can make whatever decision they want, no matter what, and they can just follow through with it.
Yeah.
Typically, I mean, there's some businesses where it's not like that. There's kind of like a council thing at the top, but I'm like, basically the whole idea is again, CEO, basically kind of like a dictator, and that's not how our government works. We have a Congress. I mean, yeah, you can pass executive orders, but if people get mad at Obama for passing
Mhm.
just 200 in his tenure, even like when there's other people who passed many more, including Ronald Reagan, um, it just I don't really see him getting a lot necessarily done that he's promising.
Mhm. I'd like to mention though, also even with executive orders, you need funding from Congress. You can't
That,
just you still need money. So I mean, like even if you want to do stuff, if they hate you completely, they won't do it.
yeah, if he made an executive order to build the wall, Congress could just say no.
And also, like American people wouldn't even push Congress to do it because not that many people want it. So like, he has nothing going for his
Exactly.
ideas.
Continuing, the next paragraph he says, "I am part of a generation that is facing stagnant salaries, rising debt, and yeah, that's all true. That's all true. Like,
Hmm.
I- you know, economic anxiety, like everyone's
Yeah,
feeling on the
it's
right
it's
and
a
the
thing.
left. Definitely, yeah, it is a thing.
Spitting facts
So
here.
I get why he's like turning to someone unconventional, but he
Yeah.
says, I want a president with a business acumen to rectify these issues. Here's my issue with that whole thing. Like,
Mm.
Trump ended up being broke multiple times and has had multiple failures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you want someone who's a good businessman, pick Gary Johnson. He had a small business. He like became the governor of Arizona. You know what I mean? I feel like if you're going for someone who has that, I'm gonna start from the bottom and build my way up. There's a better candidate who that's
Yeah.
just Gary
Definitely.
Johnson. You know what I mean? Like Trump started with a small loan of $1 million. It's like it's not
Yeah, it's like he
like
had a lot going for him. It's not like he just was some nobody who just built this entire thing all on his own.
exactly. And then um let's see what the
And
next
also, I
thing
mean,
is.
I'd also like to just mention, being a businessman, I don't understand where that all of a sudden became like a really good thing to have, like, put your trust in and trust being a leader. Because when you think of a businessman, at least me, I think of someone who's like, especially in Trump's case, he's kind of like a con man. Like he's trained to like try to deceive you and try to sell a product, no matter how good it is. And like you could see that with
Yeah.
a lot of like, if you look at his record, there's times when he sells stuff to people and it's just not good stuff. Yeah, he's good at talking his way
Yeah.
through it, and that's cool. I mean, it's good for negotiating. But if like he's kind of like he doesn't
He's
deserve our
selling you
trust
a
in my
crap
opinion.
candidate. Yeah, that's what he's
Exactly. Like we
selling you.
shouldn't trust him. He's selling a candidate, but he's not. His ideas aren't great. He's just selling them because he's good at it.
Yeah. Then also he's basically this next paragraph is saying, oh, he wants to crack down on this whole. He's basically saying, well, illegal immigration is bad, and Trump wants to crack down on this. And I said, but you can't deport 11 million people. You just can't do it. You just be
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that's a good idea. And also, you could argue that immigration is good for the country because that means they pay into taxes and stuff, so that they're paying and to help pay for Social Security and stuff like that. But they're not actually going into it because they're still too young. They're not taking money out of the system. They're
Hmm.
not old enough for that. So they're actually a good thing. And so that's a whole other video in itself, talking about immigration. But
Yeah.
okay, whatever. But again, Trump goes too far. Um,
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah, moving on. Basically, the guy says, okay, well, I've become fiscally conservative, so because there's so much corruption in New York, and my issue with that is saying, okay, just because New York is corrupt doesn't mean you should become fiscally conservative. That means you should become anti-corruption.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. If they were spending recklessly and they destroyed the state basically, fiscally, then yeah, I could see becoming fiscally conservative. But if the problem is corruption,
Yeah.
don't become fiscally conservative.
Exactly.
Become apt anti-corruption. Just
Yeah, that's
uh,
definitely that's kind of a problem because I mean it's just there's a lot of corruption and you can't associate corruption with one political party and like one ideology. I mean it's not I mean I don't mean to just like put hate on her or anything, but I mean if you look at Hillary Clinton, you can't say Democrats are bad, liberals are bad because she takes money and stuff like that. You can just say there are a lot of people like her in the Democratic Party and in both parties that take money and just kind of mess up. But I mean that's
Yeah,
not like an ideology problem at all.
yeah, it's not. Um, Moving on, he's like, "Oh yeah, Trump, like me, is fiscally conservative." Okay, so where is he fiscally conservative? Because he hasn't held political office, so we can't judge him there. We can
Yeah.
only judge him through his business models, right? And he's went bankrupt 4 times. That does not seem fiscally conservative to me.
But you know what's crazy that Trump said? I don't know
Uh,
if he's still holding by it. I mean, he holds by certain things, but I don't know if this is one of them. He said he would declare bankruptcy with like the United States economy basically, and he's just that's not a thing. Like you can't do that because
he's
like
just making stuff up.
bonds and stuff from the government are the most trusted thing, and if you just were to ruin those, then you're gonna ruin business.
Like interest rates would go up first of all.
Exactly.
That's the least of your
Yeah,
problems with that.
everything like and when those go up, everything it would be terrible. And I feel like he doesn't really understand how the country's economy works. He understands business economy. He doesn't understand the country though, and that's what he needs to
It's
understand.
just it's I don't. Moving on. Moving on. Moving on. Basically, he brings up this point. Actually, I actually do like about Trump, surprisingly. That his New York upbringing meant he's more like kind of like secular and not like controlled by like religious motives.
Mm.
And so like he doesn't really. I mean, he says he's like he hasn't really said anything about against gays, but like he's pro-life and all this. But we all know he doesn't really care about abortion, and
Yeah.
he doesn't really care if you're gay or not or transgender. He doesn't really care, which is actually really cool that the Republican nominee, that's probably, um, doesn't really care about those things, because we've had such a rise of like the religious right and it's been such an issue. But like now, like their candidate, he doesn't care, and no one's caring at all. That's not what
Mhm.
they're focusing on. I really like that, but it's like a broken clock's right twice a day. So whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I feel that's Trump's biggest strongest point for me. It's he's kind of socially liberal, like not 100%, but in many cases, this is just one of them. And I feel like he definitely sides more with Democrats on social issues, but like if he's crazy in many things, it's just not worth it. 'Cause I mean, even
Yeah,
Hillary is good on this stuff, so
yeah.
I would much rather pick her over Trump if it's
That
just
was the
based
only thing. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And again, that's this New Yorker's kind of whole argument. Oh well, I want to be socially liberal. Okay, well, and fiscally conservative. But it's like there are better candidates that fit that mold better. Like
Yeah.
Okay. Uh. Again, and he says basically the issue with I have the whole social issues argument continuing on is he has balanced positions. Not really, because the stuff he says about Muslims, the stuff he says about Mexicans, that's flat out racist. That's not even like low key racist that like Southern Republicans say. That's racist. The stuff he says about it is racist. There's no beating around the bush about that, and it's just you can't call that a balanced position. Um, and he was on the right side of trade. Okay, sure, whatever. But again, right twice a day, broken clock. Uh,
Yeah.
And moving on from that, he wraps it up by saying, okay, well, it's kind of hard with no political experience, but if Congress has such low approval ratings and stuff, we need a drastic change in Washington. Okay, I get that. So he
Yeah.
wants something radical and change and stuff. Why not Bernie?
Yeah.
Why not Bernie?
Exactly. And also even if you don't pick Bernie, I feel like I don't know how like influential they will be, but I think third parties are definitely going to start rising at least a
Uh-huh.
little bit. Like it's going to be like very small amounts, but I mean you might see like 5-6% on a few third parties, which is kind of a
Yeah.
big deal in the scheme of things.
Yeah, I think it'll be way more than that, actually. I
Yeah.
think we'll
Like
have.
right now, like the Green Party, like Jill Stein is around
And that's the
6%.
fourth. That's not even talking about the Libertarian Party,
I
and
know.
which brings me to my last point. He wants someone who's fiscally conservative but socially liberal, even though he really shouldn't be physically conservative because he's really against corruption.
Mhm.
But going with that, he should pick Gary Johnson, or when the primaries are going on, pick George Pataki or Bloomberg or someone, or favor someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not Trump. I think what he wants, Trump is pretending to be, but not actually.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's like really a good reason to support Trump.
Mm. I just really hope I don't know how much it will because I mean the media is really just not gonna buy into it. But if third parties were given more of a shot and people independents like them were just given more of a shot, I feel like a problem like Trump would never happen, because right now we're limited to so few people that if you want somebody who's conservative, well, at least pretending to be, and you kind of have to go with
Yeah.
Trump right now in
Yeah.
the media's eyes.
320 million people have to decide between two candidates.
It's not
That
right.
sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, like Canada has like what 50 or 60 million. They have like 3 to like 5 parties.
Yeah, it's just because
Um,
we've talked about it before, like with a lot more people, it's kind of hard to like get people to
yeah, that
change
big
their
movement. Yeah,
minds. So I mean, it's just like it's so ingrained in everyone's minds. There's two people. That's just what you do, and maybe like a few 100,000, maybe even a few million. It'll be like, well, there's more choices, but it's just not big enough.
yeah,
And also, our entire system's kind of like built against it to make it so.
that's true. Uh, it's
Yeah,
unfortunate, but that's our video on Trump, guys. Let us know what you think about it. Interesting video, and if you guys have any articles that you want to recommend us that we do next, let us know. I think that wraps this one up.
yep. Thanks for
We'll
watching.
see you guys next time.